Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us today. Welcome to the informational webinar that we are hosting for NEVI Phase 1A. My name is Rebecca Andrucci. I'm the NEVI coordinator in the Sustainability and Resiliency Unit at the Connecticut Department of Transportation. So today we're going to give you a little bit of background on NEVI and tell you a little bit about the RFP that is currently open. Okay, if you have any questions at any point during the webinar, we ask that you please put them in the Zoom question and answer box. We will get to them at the end of today's session. If you think of any questions afterwards and would like to pose them to us, we are accepting them through email at the email address listed here, ct-dot-evplanning@ct.gov. All the questions that we receive, whether they are submitted through the Q&A feature or through email, we will post the responses on our website after the question and answer period ends. Okay, just a little housekeeping. If you're new to Zoom at all and you're trying to access captions or subtitles, this is how to use that feature. At the bottom of your screen, you'll click the Show Captions button. You can then select the speaking language option and select which language you need from the list. To ask a question through the Q&A, you'll see the little box at the bottom of your screen. So you'll click that and type your question into the chat. We will be reviewing all of those and we'll do our best to answer the ones that you asked today here. But if we don't have an answer for your question, we will get those answered by the time that we post the written Q&A on our website. This is Connecticut DOT's Title VI Notice to the Public. The Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. On this slide are the directions on how to do that. Okay, this is the same slide again, just in Spanish, so I'll just leave this up for a few seconds if anyone needs the slide. Okay, so this is our agenda for today's webinar. I'll first give a brief overview of the NEVI program and where we are in Connecticut. I'll talk about the current RFP and what the application procedure looks like. Then give a little bit of info on our evaluation and selection process and our timeline and next steps. So through NEVI, Connecticut is going to be receiving approximately $52 million in dedicated formula funding over the next 5 years. The federal regulations require us to fully build out our alternative fuel corridors with EV charging before we're able to put EV charging in other parts of the state. So that's what these first phases of our NEVI program are. We're trying to build out our AFCs. In Connecticut, our alternative fuel corridors or AFCs are our major highways, so I-91, I-95, I-84, and then also Route 7. We are also required every year to update our NEVI plan, and what this plan does is it reflects back on the previous year of activities that happened through the NEVI program, and it also plans for what is going to be happening in the following year. So we are required to update this annually. It's due to the Federal Highway Administration year on August 1st. So our previous two plans are up on our website, linked on the screen here. I believe we can send these links out to you all so that you have them, but everything's available on our CTDOT NEVI website. And then our plan for fiscal year 25 is going to be submitted to the Federal Highway Administration this August. So keep an eye out for that. We are working on it. So through NEVI, we have a handful of regulations that we are required to follow from the Code of Federal Regulations. So this is just a quick glimpse of some of the key regulations. So we will be providing 80% of the costs to install EV chargers that meet the following NEVI criteria. Each station has to have at least 4 direct current fast charging ports capable of charging 4 EVs simultaneously. Those 4 ports must each deliver at a minimum 150 kilowatts of power. If there are less than 4 cars charging at one time, then that power should be shared to the cars that are there. The ports must have 4 permanently attached CCS connectors, and they may include permanently attached NACS connectors. Those are also known as the Tesla connector, as long as there are those 4 CCS connectors as well. The NEVI stations must be publicly accessible 24/7 and open 7 days per week. And it is required that they have 97% uptime. So these requirements all come from the Code of Federal Regulations, 23 CFR Part 680. So please review this to see these and all the other requirements. So we recently closed the first phase of grant solicitations for NEVI, which was phase 1, and that solicitation closed on March 15th. So that RFP covered 12 priority zones across our state, which were originally identified in our state NEVI plan. Those locations were selected to meet the build-out criteria of the NEVI program, which requires us to have a station located every 50 miles along the alternative fuel corridors. And for alternative fuel corridors that cross state lines, we're required to have a station 25 miles from that state border. The ultimate goal is for us to reach phase 2, which would allow us to have more flexibility on where we place the NEVI stations. At that point, we'd be able to place them wherever we wanted in the state. But first, we have to fully build out those stations that are located every 50 miles. So we are currently in the application review process for phase 1, but there is one zone that we did not receive any applications for. And so that brings us to the current RFP for phase 1A. We had a zone in phase 1 that was located in North Canaan, in this upper corner of the state, that we didn't receive any applications for. So what we did was we expanded the eligible segment of roadway as large as we could. So what we have now is this 25-mile segment of Route 7, which runs from the Massachusetts border all the way down to Moeller Road in Kent. We are looking for a site that is either located on Route 7 or within 1 drivable mile from the nearest intersection on Route 7. And the site must be located in Connecticut. I just want to give a couple examples of what types of, or what locations would be eligible, and what I mean by either on Route 7 or within a drivable mile. So in the upper right corner here, we have a restaurant. This is along Route 7, and this restaurant is located directly on the eligible segment of Route 7. So their driveway opens up to the roadway. So that is an eligible location. What is also an eligible location is something like this high school in the middle of the map, which is not directly located on Route 7, but it is within 1 drivable mile of the closest intersection of Route 7. So either of these are the types of things that would be eligible for funding, just so you have an example. We will be accepting proposals from a variety of entities, corporations, partnerships, LLCs, cooperatives, individuals, also government agencies, including state and municipal. We'll accept applications from educational institutions and tribal organizations. Just want to make a note that the applicant does not necessarily have to be the one who owns the site that the chargers will ultimately go on, as long as they have a site host agreement in place or have started having conversations with that site host to ultimately get to the point of having a site host agreement. Some of the questions that we were asked in the last RFP that are still applicable here. Operations and maintenance is required for a 5-year period after the chargers go online. However, it is not an eligible expense in Connecticut. Connecticut is opting to prioritize the installation and construction costs in order to spread our funding out to as many sites as possible. Unlike phase 1, this phase 1A does not have a letter of intent requirement. So the RFP is open to everyone. There are no formatting requirements or page limits to applications, and there are no funding maximums per site or per applicant. Okay, so all of the RFPs that are released by the state of Connecticut are required to be listed on CT Source. So that is where you will find ours. This is also where you will be submitting the application for the RFP. So the link to CT Source is shown on this slide, and we can get that in the chat for you, along with the direct link to the RFP posting itself. All of these links are also available on our NEVI website. So anything that you're looking for after today's presentation, you will find it linked there. And this just shows you what the bid looks like. You'll see a little bit of description about the program, and then all of the attachments that will be required for you to either review or fill out and submit with your application. We have a couple of help guides to assist you with how to create an account on CT Source and also how to respond to a bid. So once you create an account with CT Source, you will see a screen that looks somewhat similar to the one that is shown here with current solicitations. You can find our RFP by searching for it in the opportunity number box. This is the opportunity number 21495. That's what you will use to find the solicitation. You may have to select this option, other active opportunities, in order to see the solicitation. And then you will, once you find this, the 3 dots that you see under the actions column, that is where you will click that you would like to apply and begin uploading your required documents. So the required materials, everything is posted on the CT Source portal that you will have to fill out. So I'll just briefly go through it. The first thing that you'll need to fill out is all of the paperwork in Appendix A, which we're calling, the application. This has sort of your administrative information. It has all the criteria that we'll be scoring your responses based on. and then a handful of attachments where you will upload site plans, your project schedule, the utility coordination form, and your cost estimates. And we're providing all of this to you as a Word document, but this can just be used as a template. You can modify it, put it in your own format. That is totally fine with us. Like I said, no page limits, no font requirements or anything like that. You'll also see Appendix A Part F is all of our federal and state required forms. These you do have to fill out as is. It's not a template. We need to collect these with every RFP that we solicit for. So those are included for you to fill out and submit back to us. And you will also see Appendix B is the sample grant agreement, which we are just providing to you as a draft at this time. It's still subject to change, and we're not asking you to necessarily do anything with it, but just review to see the types of things that you would be required to comply with. Okay, so DOT is going to have a selection panel where we will be reviewing and scoring all of the RFP responses based on 3 different steps. So first is we will review your application for the initial criteria, which is mostly a set of yes/no questions that we are expecting applicants to meet all of. It's sort of like a pass-fail type of thing. So you'll just give us a little bit of information on the project, that you're meeting all of our minimum requirements, and that you are affirming that you are in good standing to do business with the state. We will also be reviewing your core criteria, which is the bulk of the application and where most of the points are made up from. So we will be reviewing for your qualifications, your technical proposal, and your financial proposal. And the points break down, well, these are the total points for each of those categories. You can find the actual breakdown in the RFP. Okay, and then the third and final way that we will be scoring proposals is through the bonus criteria. We're not using the bonus criteria to review all of the proposals. We are just using it as a tiebreaker in case we have 2 or more proposals who are, after we've gotten through the initial criteria, scoring about the same. We'll use the bonus criteria as a tiebreaker. And so we will review whether or not you're including any amenities, such as restrooms or food and drink options, things for your charging customers to occupy themselves with while they are waiting to charge their vehicle. We'll also see if you have considered future proofing, if there's room for expansion for more chargers in the future, and whether or not you plan on incorporating renewable energy on site. So after we have gone through all the proposals and assigned points to all of them, we will have an idea of who our top scorers are. This will create our shortlist. We intend to shortlist at least 2 applications in this round, but could be more if we have several high-ranking applications. At that point, they will be considered shortlisted, and we will start an information exchange process where we'll reach back out to you in case we need any additional information. After that period closes, we will allow our applicants to submit best and final offers, where they can make any adjustments to their applications in order to be more competitive. We will then rescore and give our final rankings to our applications and ultimately arrive at a final ranking where we will choose one proposal that becomes our apparent successful proposer, or the ASP, and then rank the others that are not the ASPs accordingly. At that point, we will send a conditional award letter to the apparent successful proposer and await their acceptance. If they choose not to accept, we will then move on to the second place proposal. Then, as long as the next one accepts, we can move through the preconditions of award, getting the contracts prepared and signed, making sure we have the site host agreements and everything in place. At which point, once the contract's executed on both ends, we will issue the notice to proceed, and that is when the project can actually begin. So here is a summary of some of the key points in our timeline. The deadline to submit written questions is April 26th at 5 p.m. So please either submit them here in a Q&A box today or send them through email to our email address. The RFP will close on June 7th at 5 p.m. And then after a few months of reviewing proposals and getting conditional awards issued, we expect to have our final grant agreements and notice to proceeds by this winter. Okay, so we can go ahead and answer any questions you all have. Please use the Q&A box. Or if you don't want to ask them today, then please submit them to our email address, which is shown on the screen. I'm not sure if we have any questions. Emily, do you see any?
Not at the moment.
All right, I can give it a minute or two. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm sure there might have been some of you who were in these webinars for the previous phase. So I know some of it is a little bit repetitive, but just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to get all their questions answered and make sure that the program is clear for everyone. But okay, if there are no questions, you can sleep on it, send us an email. We'll do our best to answer your questions as quickly as possible. But we will be posting the responses to all the questions received no later than May 6th. And just as a little recap, our next steps, Friday, June 7th is when the RFP will be closing. And once again, here's my email for questions by April 26th. I appreciate you all for taking the time to join us today. So thank you, and looking forward to hearing from you. Bye, everyone.